What's a hammer have to do with buying a house? Do-it-yourself projects or hire the expert? It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples, owner of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home. I opened up the show by displaying a hammer, probably one of the most important tools in the toolbox nowadays. A hammer can do a lot of things. It can fix a lot of things, it can build a lot of things, and in the right hands, it can make some pretty impressive projects come to life. But what I wanted to talk to on this show is do-it-yourself projects compared to projects that you might want to hire the expert for. Now, as a kid, I was very fortunate because I grew up in a family of tradespeople. I mean, we had plumbers, electricians, roofers, carpenters, you name it. Somebody in the family was in some kind of a trade that all involved building or fixing or remodeling or doing something with a house. When you buy a house, you've made your list. Things you're going to do to the house, modifications you're going to make, things you're going to change, and so on and so forth. But how do you decide about the projects that you're going to do yourself compared to those projects that you might want to hire the experts for? Well, it's real simple. I divide everything into 5 categories, and here are my 5 categories: electrical, plumbing, landscaping, interior of the home, and exterior of the home. Now let's talk about each one of those. When it comes to electrical systems, you know, everyone is do-it-yourself. You know, whether it's wiring in a new light or putting up a ceiling fan or maybe even doing a switch in a wall. Some people have the talent to do those very simple electrical changes. One of the more common ones is upgrading a system from the 2-prong plugs to the 3-prong plugs and so on and so forth, and making sure your grounds are in place. I recommend, though, if it's anything that has to do with electricity, that you consult or hire a professional electrician. Electricity is nothing to fool around with, folks, so you want to make sure that if you're going to do anything involving rewiring or upgrading or anything that has to do with an electrical system, you're going to hire a professional electrician to do that stuff. The small little things like putting together a ceiling fan and hanging that up, that might be a homeowner's project that you're going to tackle yourself. Not too difficult of a task if you can read the instructions and assemble things. Now, as I grew up, I knew a lot of people that knew how to use this. I know people that can build things from the ground up that are extremely creative and very talented with all kinds of tools. And then I know people that they have no idea what this is. No talent to use something like this at all and prefer to pay other people to do those things. I got the chance growing up, as I said, to grow up around a lot of tradesmen, so I got to see how things were done. And then, of course, I watched a lot of do-it-yourself programs on television. Everything from remodeling houses to restoring historical houses to building a brand new house from scratch. And of course, I just thrived on that stuff. And in my time, before the internet was as useful as it is today, you went and you got books. And there were a lot of books on how to do this, how to do that, and you follow step-by-step instructions. So I kind of self-trained myself. And when I got stuck, I always had a relative I could run to ask for help. But again, I'm talking about here on this show the kinds of things that you can do yourself compared to where you might want to hire a professional. Now, one of the second things I was talking about was plumbing. Plumbing's an interesting thing. Some people are afraid of it. They don't want to touch it at all. And a lot of do-it-yourselfers will handle the simple projects. And when I'm talking about simple projects, I'm talking about things like changing out a faucet or fixing a leaky faucet, maybe fixing a toilet, you know, things along those lines. When it comes to major plumbing though, that's where you might want to hire the experts. There's a lot of houses that come on the market nowadays that are foreclosures. And unfortunately what happens with foreclosures is those houses will sit on the market and they're vacant and vandals get inside. One of the more popular things that the vandals like to steal from a vacant house when it's an older home is all the copper piping and tubing throughout the house. They can cut it out real fast, bring it to a junkyard, get some quick bucks for it, and then they're on their way. The problem with that is that requires a lot of the basement, a lot of the water systems in the house to all be replumbed. And obviously the codes have changed. You're not going to replace copper pipes with copper pipes. That's a little bit more involved than maybe the homeowner wants to get involved in. So you might want to look at hiring a plumber that's professional in doing those kinds of systems and coming in and doing that kind of stuff. We're going to take a little look at this presentation, and when I come back I want to talk about landscaping projects. Folks that are out there, friends and relatives that have known me a long, long time, know that one of my expertises, or one of the things I used to love to do, was landscaping work. There was nothing like getting out and working with nature, working with the ground, and changing things and formulating things to the point of where they would grow or be designed as far as landscaping was concerned. In fact, it was funny, I lived in one particular house, and I had a couple of neighbors that would walk their dog, and when they would walk by the front of the house, if they saw me out in the yard, they'd say, "Hey Rick, wasn't that bush over there?" I tend to, or had a tendency to move small bushes and small trees around the yard, like some people shift furniture around in their living room, until I got it just right. I'd put a tree in and look at the way the sun would hit it and which way the shadows were falling, and maybe I didn't like that, so I'd move it to another part of the yard, and so on and so forth. I was also into a lot of landscape architecture. I've been known to build platform decks and walkways and pathways and all kinds of garden things in the yard, from trellises to archways and so on and so forth. And during the time, I found that fun to do. And then, of course, you had all your local improvement stores that you could get all the yard stuff you needed, whether it was grass seed or mulch or trees or bushes or flowers or whatever it might be. And I liked working with the ground. Some people don't like to do that. When I was younger, that was the kind of thing I used to like to work with. So when it came to landscaping, if I was purchasing a property that needed a lot of yard work, that didn't put me off, because I knew the yard work I can do myself. Now, when might you want to get involved with a professional when it comes to landscaping? Well, if you're going to do anything that's a hardscape, for instance, working with stone, my advice, having put in a few patios in my time, hire the professional. That's hard work, and unless you know exactly what you're doing, it could maybe not turn out to the way you want it to. It's real important the way the stone is set, the way it's cut, the way it's put in. And quite honestly, as I just said, it's very, very hard work. So if you don't want to do that kind of work, you might want to hire the professionals. The other thing with landscaping is if it's something that's too big for you to handle yourself, you decide that you're going to invest in a tree, and it's a good-sized tree. Well, you may not have the tools in order to plant that tree properly. You may have to hire a professional landscaper or an arborist to come in and put that tree in the spot that you want to put it in. One of the homeowning projects, of course, that you can do on your own when it comes to trees and bushes is to trim them, or cut them back, or clean them up, or whatever you might want to call it. If you have the right tools, that's a job you might be able to do for yourself. But again, there are many people that specialize in the landscaping business that are there for you to hire that can do that kind of work for you. Let's take a quick look at this presentation. I'm going to talk about things inside the house. So you buy your new house, you move in, and immediately you've made your list of all the different projects that you want to do to make the house your own. Common do-it-yourself projects are painting. Painting is very easy to do. It's something that everyone could do if you could use a brush and use a roller. And it's something that sometimes is a little fun to do. You want to make sure you take all the proper preparations, whether it's preparing the wall for paint or patching holes or whatever might have to do, before you go ahead and paint. But again, just like with anything else, as I've been saying here, you have to make the decision. Is it a project you want to get involved in, or do you want to hire a professional? You know, there's a lot of preparation work that goes into a project such as painting, and sometimes people just don't have the patience to do the taping and things that need to be done in order to properly paint or change the colors in the household. So again, you might want to look at hiring a professional. Some of the other things that are interior-wise that you can do on your own, there's a lot of decorative stuff that you can do that's real simple. Again, you go to the improvement stores, there's plenty of them around, there's tons of ideas. Some people like to do work as advanced as laying carpet themselves as opposed to hiring somebody to put down carpet. What's real popular is tile floors, whether it's the vinyl press-on tile or whether it's regular tile. Some people are talented enough to take on those projects on their own. But again, you have to make that decision as to whether or not you're going to do the project yourself or whether you're going to hire the professional. Now, one of the other things in the interior of the house that's a very common do-it-yourself job is just general cleaning. You know, a lot of people buy a house and then they move into the house, and besides just moving in their property, the first thing they want to do is clean everything. Even if the seller has cleaned the house thoroughly from top to bottom, you know as well as I do, you still want to clean it on your own. So you'll go out and you'll buy different cleaners. Word of caution here, if you're going to do anything that is major cleaning or major as far as sterilization is concerned or those kinds of things, make sure you read the instructions on the different things that you're going to use. If you need to put gloves on, put gloves on. If you need to wear a mask, and so on and so forth. Just be careful when it comes to those cleaning projects. And of course, one of the simplest cleaning projects to do is windows. If the windows are in good shape and they're just dirty, well, that's a project that you can get involved in, the whole family can get involved in, because it's a very simple do-it-yourself project. Let's take a quick look at this presentation. I'll be back to talk about some exterior projects you might want to get involved in. The exterior of a house presents a lot of challenges. There's a number of different things you can do outside the house that are perfect do-it-yourself projects. Of course, one is painting. Some people will prefer to paint. If you're going to get involved, though, in re-siding a house, you might want to hire the experts as far as that's concerned. There's also simple things like repairing shutters. We have shutters here in New England. Fixing gutters and rain downspouts, or maybe just general maintenance around the exterior of the house, fixing a broken shingle here or a busted corner there or wherever, that are very simple things that you can do yourself. When you do walk around the exterior of the house, you want to take inventory and kind of decide, well, do I need an expert to do that, or is that something that I need to do myself? Gutters. Gutters are another simple thing that you can do yourself, whether it's annual cleaning of the gutters or general repairs. Again, you can go to your improvement stores nowadays. You can buy what you need as far as rain gutters are concerned, or rain covers, and do that yourself. As they say in all the home improvement shows, whatever you do, if you're doing it yourself, always keep in mind safety. Be very careful. Be aware of everything that's around you. If you're using ladders, make sure you know where branches are overhanging or power lines where they are, so that you don't run into problems. This is the portion of the real estate show I call the real estate mailbag. It allows me to answer questions that are emailed to me here at the show, or sometimes just commentary on the different conversations that I have when I'm and about. I just did something new. Here at Zone Realty, we decided to open up a new location, a brand new office. So we've been very involved in there, fixing things and painting and patching walls and doing all the do-it-yourself type things that someone might do when it comes to a home. And again, whether it's a commercial space or a residential space, as I've been saying all through this show, you have to make a decision. Is it something that you're going to handle yourself, or is it something you're going to hire a professional for? My name's Rick Naples. This has been the Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. See you next time.